When it comes to everything fantasy football, you have to ask one question. Don't you deserve a fighting chance? And now, welcome to Fighting Chance Live with your hosts, Kevin Tompkins and Scott Fishbowl 9 winner, Gary Haddow.
Ladies and gentlemen, your eyes do not deceive you, and your ears as well for your podcasters. It is Fighting Chance Live. It is Friday. We've got the end of the week here, and we're going to get into the week 4 slate. And of course, to my right on the screen is the beautiful, vivacious Gary Haddow. Gary, my friend, how are you?
Woo! Doing well here on a Friday. Always nice. Got my clown shoes. I've been drinking a bunch of clown shoes lately. Really like this beer. All sorts of them. So ready to go.
I'm ready. I got my Cerveza Tecate still.
We're Cerveza Tecate.
That's right. We're going south of the border here. So
cheers.
Absolutely. We're ready here. Week 4, man. We're almost a quarter into the season. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's dive in. Let's not beat around the bush. So the first early slate game, we're looking at Baltimore and the football teamers out of Washington. So first things first here, there's some injuries here with the pass catchers in Washington. We're looking at Terry McLaurin, who is questionable. Steven Sims is out with a toe injury. So the first thing I look at, who is Dwayne Haskins going to throw the ball to?
I mean, this kind of feels like a Dontrell Inman is going to randomly have a game, and it's disgusting when that type of thing happens. I mean, that being said, if McLaurin's banged up and Steven Sims is out, you really bank on Inman to ever be more than anything than just like the dartiest of dart throws.
The dartiest of dart throws. I love it. And yeah, that's pretty much what he's been, because he's pretty much been everywhere that you can play in the NFL in his career, and just has not. He's just been like a 1 week, he'll have like a random 8 for 60 and a touchdown, and then fall off the face of the earth until he surfaces in a new. He's like witness protection. That's what Dontrell Inman is.
He's poor man's Sammy Watkins. He'll blow up, and then he'll just kind of do nothing the rest of the season. And never with good offenses, always just with crap for the most part. So
right. So it's looking like pretty much a Dontrell Inman, maybe a Gandy Golden Day. But we also have Logan Thomas too. But the thing is, we've been pumping up Logan Thomas, but he really hasn't done anything with the target share that he's gotten. It really is, because any other offense, and Logan Thomas is pretty much where Dalton Schultz is right now, where he's just he's almost a stud that you pretty much have to start now every week. And we'll talk about Dalton Schultz, but yeah, it's really deflating to see Logan Thomas with Dwayne Haskins throwing the ball to him, and just he's not producing, and it's tough to start him now.
Yeah, I don't see a way, and the game isn't a total slaughter. Even like Antonio Gibson is hard to start here.
Yeah.
Obviously not Haskins. I almost find myself holding Logan Thomas in the hopes that one day Alex Smith is going to become their quarterback again at some point this season, and then maybe that'll be something that gives a little bit of boost to the offense. But it's nothing. I feel like it's hard. We've spoken too long about the football team.
I will say, though, if you're absolutely desperate, J.D. McKissic is in the worst play.
Yeah.
Just based on McLaurin is questionable, so we'll see about that. Or inactives, follow us here, because on Fighting Chance Kickoff, we'll certainly be the one of the first people to tell you if Terry McLaurin will be playing or not. So then going over to the other side, you're looking at Baltimore. Lamar Jackson did not have a great game against Kansas City. Now he has to contend with Washington's line play. So just given the state of the offense on the other side, Baltimore looking to get right. Is this Lamar Jackson's get right spot?
I think it's his get right game. I really do. I think for the entire offense, I'm excited to see Andrews. Not that he's been bad, but he hasn't connected. So his stat line has been bad. Chase Young is not playing, and I think that actually is going to help out a good amount. Yeah, I think this is the Hollywood, Andrews, Lamar, probably even a Mark Ingram kind of game. And I mean, at some point, God, I know that I keep harping on about Dobbins, but like, and it's only week 4, but like, God, he's got to become more involved at some point. It's just the usage is so weird. And now that Gus Edwards is even more involved, Ingram is a back end RB2 on any given week. I don't think you can expect more except for when they're playing against a soft defense. But this is a soft defense, but a good defensive line. So,
right. I mean, Ingram would be the one to start with any confidence, but yeah, Dobbins has been the best back, as far as the eye test. Between the three, and then Gus Edwards has gotten in there and been Gus Edwards, so say what you want about that, but and then you look at Mark Andrews, who he's had 2 duds in a row, so there's really nothing to worry about. I think he's going to get right too, and as Lamar Jackson goes, Mark Andrews goes, so I'm not worried about that. Slightly worried about Hollywood Brown just because he has seen 6 targets in each game, but his production has decreased. But all it takes is one, because the dude can take an 80-yard touchdown, and then boom, you're already sitting at 14 points, 15 points actually.
He and Andrews both. I mean, Andrews dropped, not an easy grab in the end zone against the Texans, against the Chiefs, but he definitely had something that he could have connected on. And same with Hollywood, he and Lamar just kind of missed the mark. Otherwise, he would have been off for the races. So, I mean, I don't know what else there is to really say about this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just move on to Chargers at Buccaneers. So couple injuries to talk about. Again, more wide receivers. We're looking at Chris Godwin with his hamstring. He will be out. So, and then on the other side, Mike Williams with his hamstring, he's out as well. So both teams down. And I really like Keenan Allen in this spot. I think just based on his target share that he's gotten with Justin Herbert in the last 2 games, he's going to absolutely smash. And it's not the best of matchups. I did put him in my column for start, sits, and sleepers as a start for wide receivers. So I really am a big fan of Keenan Allen. I think just as a big volume play this week.
I completely agree. I'm trying to figure out where to put Henry, as I do every week. Like I have Gesicki versus Henry as a decision, and I can't figure out what to do. I think Henry has the better floor and Gesicki has a higher ceiling, so it's just something to try and figure out. But really, the big spot in here is, let's see what Eckler can. Eckler do another week of what he did, where he really did put himself as, yes, I am an RB1. Look at the targets I'm getting. Look at how I can run. I mean, he looks like one of the best backs in the NFL. He looks fantastic every time he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if the little bit of luster has come off of Joshua Kelly, but just based on that week 1, and then he got those 23 carries against the Chiefs, and then he's a rookie. He's going to be fine. So maybe we kind of just temper our expectations a little bit. Maybe he's not the RB2 that we thought he would be, but he's certainly a decent flex play.
Definitely. Yeah, it sucked. I mean, I feel like the entire industry got him wrong last week, but this is football, man. Football's just so hard to know week in and week out what's going to happen on any given Sunday. And the Panthers brought it, and the Chargers just, I don't know, didn't look as good as they should have.
Right. Absolutely. And Godwin's replacement, Scott Miller, I think I believe he's questionable as well. So that's something to look into as well. We could see Tyler Johnson figure into the slot conversation,
or Justin Watson. He's been the go-to that I'm going to be hoping that, if this game stays competitive, Brady will keep throwing a bunch. And we even saw Gronk came back and finally I think he had 5-6 targets last game. So it looks like hopefully they'll just hit the ground, keep running, doing whatever they can. But one of the injuries that's not in here, Fournette is now out, I believe.
Yes.
So that's going to be a Rojo game, and Melvin Ingram is not in for the Chargers defensive line. So, I mean, Rojo should have some good run, and we even heard some whispers that Bruce Arians told Keyshawn Vaughn, your day is coming. So let's see. I picked up Vaughn where I could just to see what would happen in various leagues. Hey, he might pop. He's a rookie, and it seems like Arians hasn't really vested in one particular running back there.
I will say that the day that I trust Bruce Arians' word in regards to his run game, because this is shaping up. We talk about Rojo. It's going to be a LaShawn McCoy 20 carry game. I mean,
Yeah.
For all we know. It's just damn wild, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But yes, Fournette certainly on the surface helps Rojo, and he should get a lot of run. Hopefully McCoy, which he has been used in the passing game a little bit, doesn't siphon off too much from him. So another game, the next game I really like, and I'm actually very intrigued by Seattle at Miami. So Chris Carson, that injury and then the twisting of the leg by the Cowboys defender, that looked bad, but Pete Carroll said he bounced back pretty well in practice and he should be on track to play. Kind of surprising, honestly, given how that looked.
Man, I was full stream ahead with Carlos Hyde, and then here we are. Not only Carlos Hyde is also banged up; he has a little bit of a shoulder issue. Now that if Carson plays, you can't do anything with Carlos Hyde. If Carson doesn't play, I'm definitely starting Carlos Hyde as a more of like an RB3 flex type, but I'm happy to put him in. This is just going to be a fun game. One of the best offenses, best quarterbacks right now in the NFL, going off against a Dolphins team that their Dolphins are just doing what they did last year. They put up a fun offense. They don't put up a ton of defense, and this will just, like you said, it's just gonna be a really fun game. Who do you have higher? I just pulled up your rankings. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Who do you have higher for wide receivers, Lockett or Metcalf?
I am just looking at it right now. Right now I have Metcalf at wide receiver 4, but at Lockett's wide receiver 6. So they're really, it's almost a toss up at this point.
Yeah.
Going through like DraftKings too, Metcalf's actually $200 cheaper than Lockett is. So I mean, really pick your poison, honestly, if you're Miami, because Byron Jones is out as well. So so that's going to be a really, really tough matchup, either side there. But yeah, I like Fitzpatrick here. I like, that they're just going to throw. I don't think they really have a plan in place other than just try to keep up with Seattle. And it's going to be a fun game. I believe it's the highest or one of the highest over-unders on the slate.
Man, you have Minshew over Fitzpatrick. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but because I'm looking at your Fitzpatrick rank, I am starting Fitzpatrick over Minshew. The Seattle defense, for anybody that hasn't heard, they're giving up 40 yards of passing a game so far. But granted, they played Ryan, they played Dak, and I can't actually think who their third team that they played was. Oh my.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but yeah.
But I think Fitzpatrick he's not in that caliber of quarterback, but he is in that caliber of quarterback for yardage wise. And he's just, Seattle is going to go up, and Fitzpatrick is the king of garbage time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun game. I would love for the Dolphins to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as far as Miami goes, I mean, you're all systems go. You're starting Parker, you're starting Gesicki. Deeper, you could throw Preston Williams in there. Gaskins a start too. It's an RB2 flex option, depending. So yeah, Seattle, start your studs. Travis Homer might mix in there too. With Carson's health. Maybe, we'll see about Hyde if he's a go. Like I said, he is questionable.
I expect that we'll see a lot of Gaskin questions during Fighting Chance kickoff on Sunday. Even some Preston Williams, now that there's not really anybody to defend against them. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yep, absolutely. To the next game here, we've got Minnesota at Houston. So, it's really one of those nondescript games, but this could be a game. This could be the Will Fuller blow-up game we've been waiting for the past 3 weeks because, he was taken off the injury report. He's good to go. Fire up your Will Fullers.
I'm firing him up. I also don't have a lot of choices, but I actually think that this game is one of those nondescript ones that's going to end up being like, wow, we should have just kind of started everybody. I don't know about Kirk Cousins, but I guess if I like Thielen and we got to talk about Justin Jefferson here. I mean, 7 for 175 and a touchdown. Dude looked incredible.
Yeah.
So if they could put it together, this is what the Vikings do, right? They limit Cousins, they get him into a hole for the beginning of the season, and then they're like, oh yeah, we have a pretty good quarterback and we have some weapons. Maybe we should unleash this and just let things go.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Minnesota's really hoping for that second wide receiver or second pass catching option to emerge, and boy, did we see it last week with Justin Jefferson. He looked fantastic. It was, wherever he was dropped, in the first 3 weeks, he was the number one waiver claim, across league. So he's definitely somebody you have to count for now with Thielen and Dalvin Cook, and then also Brandon Cooks. I mean. That's a guy under the radar that could really smash in this game too.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was going to say before we moved on, I wanted to make sure we talked about him. I actually think you could start Fuller and Cooks. If you're someone like me, I actually drafted both of them in a lot of places, going on the assumption I'd get a full 16 between the two of them. Cooks has started slow, but I think people are going to sleep on him. I think he is a buy low candidate for a lot of people, just to have a very high end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 for a lot of people that could blow up. I think it's coming. I think that we got through kind of the gauntlet, and we're about to see Deshaun Watson. If you have not made an effort to go and get Deshaun Watson and you have an issue at quarterback, you're doing something wrong, because there are frustrated owners, and they have a very good schedule for a lot of the season here moving forward.
Yeah, full disclosure. I was 100,000,000% wrong on Deshaun Watson last week against Pittsburgh. But now they're through that gauntlet, the KC, Baltimore, Pittsburgh gauntlet. Now they're getting Minnesota, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Green Bay, and then Jacksonville again after their bye. So they're really getting into a stretch. So yeah, if you can get Deshaun Watson from a frustrated manager, certainly go ahead and do that. You could probably, you're going to get him much cheaper than you would have at the beginning of the year. Certainly. Anything else you want to talk about this game? I mean, looking at it, David Johnson, I guess you're starting to, it's not a bad option as an RB2, but other than that, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I have a debate between Jordan Akins, Mo Alley Cox, and Logan Thomas in a league, and we'll come back to it on Sunday. But I think that Jordan Akins, I've been saying it a whole bunch that I want pieces of this offense that are getting targets, and he has a nice target floor. So I think that this could be a game where he pops off. So I want to move on to this next game. I did not know what you have written in the show doc here. So this is New Orleans at Detroit. So what's this about Kamara in the first 3 weeks of the season? I have not actually heard this. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara has scored the second most fantasy points ever through 3 weeks. I forget who tweeted. I want to say it was JJ Zacharyson, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I saw that tweet. And I could not believe it when I saw that. Actually, I believe I have it bookmarked. Let me pull that up here. But
I mean, it makes sense. He's really hit the last few weeks, especially. I mean, last week was incredible.
I'm sorry, it was Scott Barrett. So yeah, Marshall Faulk had the most in 2000 with 109 fantasy points. Kamara is 106.8. So he's just off to a torrid start.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because they have been banged up. Michael Thomas is still out this week, and now we add to that Jared Cook. So tell me, do you trust anybody outside of AK on this offense? And that includes Drew Brees.
I'm okay with Traquan Smith. I mean, as a wide receiver 3-ish flex play, I'm perfectly fine with him. And if you're someone that lost, Jonnu Smith or Eric Ebron, obviously with that game being, moved out of week 4, I don't hate starting Adam Troutman because he's probably available in most leagues. I don't hate it.
I didn't even think about it.
I made that joke as Troutman is a fish play, but you can do much worse. I mean, if you're looking at like guys like Robert Tonyan and you're looking at, in that kind of ilk, that's some upside there with Drew Brees. I mean, you really can't beat it as a shot in the dark.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get him into your top 32 here. I don't even see him in your rank top 33, but I'm excited to talk about Robert Tonyan when we get to the Packers. So I'll hold off on that. But
There will be a lot of Big Bob talk, I promise.
Yeah, for sure. Detroit. I'm excited to see Galladay back. Galladay was my boy going into the season. It's just really nice seeing him. But wow, this is it. The Saints are a tough defense that have not shown up yet, and it will click at some point. And I really hope that it's not this week because I want to see Galladay go off. But man, Marvin Jones.
But they don't. One more thing too, they're not going to have Lattimore. They're not going to have Janoris Jenkins either.
Hell yeah, let's get that going.
Yeah, so that could be a shootout too.
Yeah, I saw PD just texted us before we started about the Detroit stack, and I thought, like, what is he thinking here? Now it makes lots of sense. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one more thing too about Hawkins. I mean, TJ Hawkinson, I've been banging the drum on TJ Hawkinson, but now this week, this could be the week. And I'm going to keep saying it next week. I'll say it the week after, but damn it. The Saints have allowed a top 8 scorer at tight end every week so far. Hawkinson's snap counts have increased every week, fourth in yards per route run, 7th in catch rate. So TJ Hawkinson, I mean, he's kind of been lying in the weeds a little bit, and now he's going to get I would say this is a smash spot if he's ever going to get one with the best environment that he's going to get with Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins out. It's the stars are aligning right now. Yeah. So I really do like Hawkinson, at least in this matchup.
So I completely agree with that. What do you do with Marvin Jones? I think a lot of us feel forced to put him into our lineup because of what should be going off. And like you just made the case for why this could totally be a Marvin game.
If this is a Marvin game and you get that blow up game, dangle him out there. Because Marvin Jones, he's good when he's in, but I'm just not sold on the consistency. Yeah. So if you do get that good week, dangle him out there for somebody who maybe the AJ Brown, guy who's rostering AJ Brown, who's absolutely frustrated and waiting for him to play. Michael Thomas or people that are rostering those guys that just need a wide receiver. Try to dangle them out there and see what you can get. But Marvin Jones, I mean, I just don't know. He's one guy I'm just completely on the fence about, and I don't really know which way to go. It's kind of wild.
So one last question then on this game. I want to do a little bit of this or that when it comes to Stafford. Fitzpatrick or Stafford? Don't look at your rankings because I'm looking at them.
Stafford. I mean, with the two receivers or two corners gone, I think you got to bump Stafford up. I think he's a fringe QB1. I think losing those two corners probably gets him closer into that QB1 discussion.
Breeze or Stafford?
Stafford.
Okay. And one last. Joe Burrow or Stafford? And I'm sure we'll talk about Joe Burrow a bunch later, but
man, I like Burrow. I got to go Burrow. I really like Burrow this week.
You are true to your rankings, sir. All three of those you got right.
God, yes, good. I mean, we'll talk about Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Certainly, it's only a couple games away. So
for anybody just right there, Stafford. So Kevin has Stafford as QB 14, Breeze at 15, Fitzpatrick at 16, and Joe Burrow at 12. So I mean, you're talking borderline QB1. I think you definitely can do much, much worse than what Stafford should be doing, especially at home. This will be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Early slate, it's tough because there's so many games I want to watch. I only have 2 TVs that I can really go to. So Seattle, Miami will be on one of them. I will say that. And then probably maybe this next game, because it's intriguing for a lot of reasons. Cleveland at Dallas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know Kareem Hunt is going to be questionable, but has been trending down a little bit. So, Nick Chubb, I mean, if he's going to get all the snaps, fire up Nick Chubb. That's going to be a good spot for him. And then,
it's going to be nuts.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got Beckham, Landry. This could be a sneaky, there's a lot of shootout potential this week in the slate.
There really is. It's really difficult, especially for Daly, to try and figure out what the hell to do.
But that's good too, because you're not going to have, that Seattle, Dallas, everybody is going to own that too. So you can be creative with your stacks. And, I sent you and PD a text of my thoughts, at least my initial thoughts on DraftKings. And it's certainly probably contrarian based on, all the other stacks you could possibly have, but certainly has potential. We'll just Miami. That's all I'll say. So yeah, back to Cleveland at Dallas. So Dallas, what really would we have to say? Start your studs, and Dalton Schultz is a guy that I wrote about too today up at fightingchancefantasy.com. My start sits and sleepers article comes out every Friday. Dalton Schultz is one of my tight ends that I really love this week is against Cleveland, who might be the new Arizona if you're looking for that narrative laden start your tight end versus this defense. If you want to go that route.
Because of what you wrote in that start sit column, I texted it. I have a co-own that league that has 2 PPR, and I actually texted a screenshot. Was like, dude, yeah. So this is from Kevin right here. Dalton Schultz leads the pass catchers in Dallas with 4 red zone targets, and now gets the Browns team that hasn't defended the tight end position very well. They've been actually pretty terrible this season. So I'm all about it, and get those red zone targets, especially with a tight end who has a nice floor target wise, so he'll get you those PPR points, but he has the touchdown upside better than many tight ends do. So go for it. And Dallas looks like they're just not going to take their foot off the gas as long as they can. Mike McCarthy has something to prove to the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, everybody else is pretty much self-explanatory when we talk about Zeke, Cooper, Lamb, Gallup. I mean, those are guys you're starting every week anyway, or certainly should be. I think we could go back to this game we were starting to talk about, but Jacksonville at Cincinnati. So, with Cincinnati, like I said, I really am a big fan of Burrow in this game. I think, with Mixon, just based on where he drafted, you kind of forced into starting him, but I don't really mind the matchup at Jacksonville. If they can get out to a lead, I think that he can really maybe start to build up some value back.
It's got to happen sometime, right? Like that's just what it is. Like it has to happen. Fuck.
I know, for real. I mean, the life of a Joe Mixon manager, I'll tell you, because it's a roller coaster every week. But I mean, you've got everybody else in play too. I mean, AJ Green. Yeah, you're kind of, the air yards talk with AJ Green and just the potential that's been unrealized, at least so far. Kind of getting impatient a little bit with him, but Boyd is his guy. And then we saw Higgins emerge last week too, which, I talked about True Sample. That Higgins, emerging might have taken him out of play, at least for right now. But yeah, Tyler Boyd, I'm all about. He loves the slot. Burrow does. So yeah, Burrow to Boyd, I'm in all day.
I want to talk about AJ Green a little bit because I think that anybody that has just said I'm done with him after last week, it might have been premature. He was playing against Darius Slayton, and Darius Slayton did a pretty damn good job against him. And I just want to make sure that people understand, week 1, it's first week with a rookie. Week 2, you're still learning, but he had a ton of targets, and that's where we start talking about the air yards. And then week 3, he's playing against Darius Slay. And I think that this is really the make or to break it week, right? If Green doesn't show up, then probably no one's going to start him. And of course, week 5, he's going to really blow up then when everyone's benched him. But I don't know. I think that Green is definitely a very strong play this week. I don't have him in many places, but I would definitely be starting him. And as you just said, I mean, Boyd feels pretty close to an auto start in your wide receiver 2 spot. So
Yeah, for sure. And Green is on pace for 149 targets. So, it's not like he's looking his way. It's just he really hasn't done anything with those targets.
Yeah.
I mean, going down last week, he had 6 targets, 5 for 36. He had 13 targets against Cleveland. He only went 3 for 29. And then the Chargers game, 9 targets, 5 for 51. So he gets Jacksonville obviously this week. Next week, yeah, he probably isn't doing it much because he's going up at Baltimore. So that might be tough sledding there. You probably aren't starting him if he doesn't produce this week. But we'll see what happens with AJ Green. Like you said, he's starting to get back acclimated. He hadn't had any game time since 2018. So, maybe we're just kind of jumping the gun and, AJ Green's talent is undeniable. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but it's going to take a little bit for him to get back into the swing of things here. And then we're going on Jacksonville. They're getting DJ Chark back, which is certainly going to help Minshew. He had a pretty much of a letdown last Thursday against Miami. So, I could see a little bit of that stink and not wanting to start Minshew, but this is as good of any as a spot to roll the dice on Minshew here. I really like him. Shenault is tough to start because he is more of that gadgety type player. He hasn't really asserted himself in the passing game, and I'm not sure if he's going to get, the snaps really to make an impact, at least not right now. So you have those other guys in play like Chris Conley and Keelan Cole. No, you can't really start them, but that's kind of fantasy kryptonite there where, they're not valued by themselves, but they're going to eat into everybody else's. And then James Robinson he's an auto start. I mean, right now he is, absolutely.
He will officially be my biggest regret of all season. I think I even on this show talked to you saying I have Divine Zigbo in multiple places, and I did not drop him for Robinson. But I can't. Everything that you said, I completely agree with. Chark is just my biggest. Like, do you start him or do you wait?
I think you got to start him here. If he's active, he's. I think you got to start him. Maybe he's more of a fringe wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 guy right now, but I think you got to start him just based on. Cincinnati hasn't been terrible against receivers either. I mean, their defense has been pretty good. All things considered with their personnel. So really a testament to, maybe those guys just banding together, but you got to start Chark. I think like I said, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 fringe. I think we pretty much covered that.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go over to the Colts and the Bears. So, with the Colts, they've been up and down. It's tough to trust Rivers, especially in this matchup. With really any volume. I mean, it's not going to be a high scoring matchup by any means. And Hilton, I wrote about him as my wide receiver sit for this week. If his grandmother couldn't pep talk him into starting up, I mean, who is? I mean, at this point.
Yeah, this, like you say, it's not a high scoring affair, and I don't think so. I think we're actually looking at two really just solid defenses that both of these teams are probably underrated relative to how we think of them in their conferences. But we actually Nick Foles showed some stuff, even if it was against the Falcons, not to jump to Chicago yet, but I could see where this game could have a little bit more offense to it. Maybe I'm just ever the optimist, and I say this of every damn game. I don't know. But I think the biggest concern for me is just, like you said, if Hilton's not going to show up, Pittman's banged up, and Paris Campbell's gone. Who catches balls here? And you have in the show doc
turn off the Mac, Mo Alley Cox, baby.
Yeah, so you have Mo Alley Cox, maybe Mo Alley Cox. I'm not sure since Doyle was back. I don't think Doyle actually got a target last week. I'm in on Mo Alley Cox.
Split snaps, I believe. I believe they split snaps, but Alley Cox was in on most passing downs, running routes and stuff. So I don't think his role that he got when Doyle was hurt, I don't think that's in jeopardy right now. I think they got to keep him out there. you know, based on what he showed. You know, Doyle is going to always be out there blocking. He's a really good, you know, blocking tight end. And when he has to be, you know, when he is running routes, he's solid. But Mo Alley Cox just adds another dimension that right now they don't have based on injury in that offense.
I'm low-hanging fruit and say that I think Mo Alley Cox will be a top 12 tight end this week. Problem is, top 12 tight end doesn't really mean much, but I think he will be a top 12.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And then you're talking also 2 running games that want to establish that. So you're talking about probably a very slow pace, not a lot of plays too with Taylor. And now David Montgomery doesn't have to split anything with Tariq Cohen. They did just sign Lamar Miller also. So, you know,
I wish we had a giant horn just for this like crap sighting. I don't know. It does nothing to me, but I get that some people.
Artavis Pierce does nothing for you. Ryan Nall.
Lamar Miller is probably better than both of those guys, maybe at this point in his career.
I don't even know, honestly. Nall is pretty much a fullback. Pierce, admittedly, I don't know anything about to tell you either way, but I mean, geez. I mean, just
good stuff.
They're washed. Lamar, if we're talking about Devontae Freeman being washed, Lamar Miller is just
he's the shirt that came out with holes in it because it's been washed too many times.
Yeah, he is not a lucky shirt, absolutely. So yeah,
other side of the ball.
Let's talk about the Bears. Yeah, let's talk about the Bears offense. Great. You know, Nick Foles did show a little bit of something, and then you know, after A-Rob and after Montgomery, I mean, maybe Jimmy Graham if you're desperate. You're not
doing your boy dirty. I can't believe it.
My boy
Anthony Miller.
You can't start him right now.
Why not?
You can't.
I don't think. I mean, if you're talking about starting Jimmy Graham, you're obviously down in the dumps here. But you know, we have talked about some guys that I'm not 100% certain most people would be considering starting. And I think Anthony Miller, we're not talking about starting, but we're definitely talking about rostering. I looked in all my leagues just to see, is Anthony Miller available? I want to see what happens. Anytime a quarterback change happens and a player pops off in that game, you need to make sure that player is rostered because you don't know if it's going to be a Robinson. You don't know if it's going to be a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, or they're going to flip, right? Everyone talks all this game. You really like Anthony Miller. I really liked Anthony Miller last year. If he is on your waiver wire, find someone who's expendable and just pop him in there. Nick Foles has the potential to be a better quarterback than we think.
He loves the slot. I will say that.
Yep.
So he could, like, I think I made the correlation too about Nick Foles and Dede Westbrook last year that he could be, you know, a less fanfare, much better version of, you know, the Dede Westbrook hype in Chicago. So it's just tough because, you know, he has 2 touchdowns, Miller does, to buoy up, you know, his fantasy points right now, but he hasn't had over 6 targets in a game. He followed up, you know, week 2 he had just a 0 with 3
week
targets.
Week 2 wasn't Foles. Week 2 was Trubisky.
I know.
And what if Matt Nagy is actually a much better coach than we think, but Trubisky was what was holding him back? Hey, Flintstone, just because there's comments that you had some questions in the comments. We will definitely get to those here in a sec. I want to finish the early slate, and then we'll jump to the questions, and then we'll do the late slate. Sorry, but I didn't want you to think we weren't paying attention.
Yeah. I can't.
We'll move on. But all I'm saying is a roster spot. I'm talking about a roster spot. That's it, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not talking about a start.
No, you're not starting him, but he should be on your roster, absolutely.
Yeah.
For speculation, and then if he puts up another 0, you can toss him aside for.
He should be your preemptive strike.
Yeah.
Shout out to I think it's Leo of Fighting Chance Fantasy who writes our preemptive strike article, and I think Anthony Miller would be that type of player. You want to get ahead in case he has another week.
Yeah, get ahead, and then drop him for Dontrell Inman. Was that the last game of the year?
No, there's one more. No. Arizona at Carolina.
That's right, Arizona at Carolina. So, a couple big injuries here, and again, they're wide receivers. We're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, who is going to be a game time decision. Kingsbury is going to leave it up to him. Thank the Lord it's an early slate game. I'll say that. And then Christian Kirk is questionable as well with a groin injury. So, if they were going to be without both of those guys, it might be Andy Isabella time.
Yeah, Dan Arnold, Larry Fitzgerald, and Andy Isabella.
Age in the cage.
It would be interesting. Maybe we could finally get Drake getting some heavy targets. Kenyon Drake maybe have his, as you put it, he hasn't had a smash game, but for everybody that's like down on Drake, the dude has had about 20 touches most games. It's hard to say no to that in this offense. They haven't converted, but that's because Kyler has been so efficient running, and like, hey, at some point maybe we have to readjust our expectations, but he is still somebody that's worthy of playing, and you don't want to be the guy that sits Drake when he happens to be the one that gets 3 of those touchdowns instead of Kyler running in 1 or 2 and then passing for 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I will say this too. If it weren't for Joe Mixon taking everybody's attention away, we'd be talking the same talk about Kenny Drake. Because he's had 1 touchdown, but the yardage it's kind of been there. His passing game work really hasn't been, and it's kind of they've really gone away from targeting the running back position, out of the backfield. They targeted over 100 times last year, the running back position. And I don't know if that was just because of David Johnson, and then they had Chase Edmonds in there, who knows, but they haven't really give Kenny Drake that full, the rushing and receiving. So maybe just out of necessity, I have him at RB5 this week. I think this is as good a spot with guys that are hurt like Hopkins and Kirk that they maybe go into that. They're facing Carolina, who, gives up a lot on the ground. This could be one of those weeks where you see maybe Kyler Murray, kind of take a backseat with his passing. And then maybe he does more on the ground too. You could almost see, both guys get 85 yards rushing, Drake with a touchdown, maybe a little bit more passing work. But yeah, this could be setting up for a Drake game. Absolutely.
Agreed. I definitely agree. And then on the other side, so with the Panthers, Mike Davis looks kind of like an auto start. He hasn't been putting up McCaffrey numbers per se, but he's been doing his best damn impression, getting a ton of targets, and he got a touchdown last week. And as Kevin put here, the Cardinals have allowed the second most yards per target to the running back. So I think Mike Davis, if you have him, you're starting him. Don't even think about it.
Yeah.
The offense runs through their running back, and this makes sense. Moore and Anderson, God, you can't bench either of them. And earlier we said Drake hasn't been bad. He just hasn't had that smash game. DJ Moore hasn't been bad. He just hasn't met expectations. But he has been very serviceable, especially in PPR leagues. I mean, Robbie Anderson, unfortunately, the shine has come off of DJ Moore because Robbie Anderson looks like the play. But I think we all just forgot about Robbie Anderson and how hyped we were on him going into the 2018 and 2019 seasons. And all of a sudden, here we are. What's crazy to me is that we think of Moore and Anderson as pretty close to not auto starts, but very strong starts on your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. But I would never think of Teddy Bridgewater as like a start. It's strange. Like, you have a pass catching back and you have 2 wide receivers who we like. And I have no interest in ever starting Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, because he just does not have the upside. But yeah, it's funny because we talk about Robbie Anderson, how he's putting up 100-yard games and with a touchdown, and then DJ Moore has yet to get unlocked either. But outside of week 2, he had that really, really strong week 2. But yeah, it's funny that we talk about that too. It's maybe that's somebody that should be on the radar a little bit in deeper spots. But yeah, I'm not going to go out and, hedge my bet on Teddy Bridgewater as my QB1. No,
not at all. But start your Moore, start your Anderson, start your Mike Davis. Not starting anybody else on that offense. Like, not even close.
Yeah, there's nobody we can really get into. So we did get a couple questions. So let's get through those and we'll go on to the late slate here. So let's see what we got here. Full point PPR, Preston Williams versus Seattle, Cole Beasley versus Vegas, Traquan versus Detroit, Renfro versus Buffalo.
I think the only way to answer this for me is kind of the floor ceiling thing that I always like to say, and that's probably going with Renfro for the floor with some ceiling, then maybe Beasley after that.
I don't know about well, keep in mind too, Beasley, John Brown is going to be active too. So that's one more pass catcher that kind of maybe muddles that up a little bit. So that's my thought with that.
Okay, so let's just kick out Beasley. So yeah, so Renfro, Traquan, or Williams. I'm actually going to go with Renfro. Sorry. So let me rephrase my answer because of his combination of floor and ceiling, because we haven't gotten to them yet. But Henry Ruggs is very questionable, if not doubtful, and Brian Edwards is out. So I'm going to go with Hunter Renfro.
I'm going to go with Traquan here. I really don't. Yeah, I like that matchup. Going against Jeff Okudah. Give me Traquan, but I do like Hunter Renfro in this matchup too. Preston Williams, they're probably going to be in a back and forth game, but Traquan is probably the number 2 target outside of Kamara there. Renfro is probably the number 2 guy right now outside of Waller. Williams still has to contend with, Gesicki and Parker and potentially Gaskin. He's kind of lying in the weeds a little bit. He's at best the 3rd target in that offense.
So we didn't do our normal recap that I think we're going to kind of start changing to something else. Traquan last week, I admittedly fell asleep before the game was over, but I don't think that he did much. He had 3 targets that's an entire season. Well, what did he do last week? I
went 4 for 42 against Green Bay on 6 targets.
And that was like in a full comeback. I personally can't trust Traquan. I get that Thomas is out and Jerry Cook's out, and someone.
He also had Jair Alexander on him too. That's one thing to factor in too. I would not put Jeff Okudah in that class, as of yet. I think it'll be a very competitive game. That's why I'll lean to Traquan there. I think he should match up well against Okudah. Okudah has the talent, but give me Traquan here just on volume. I think he's going to get that volume, especially with Thomas out, and Jared Cook out as well. I mean, they're going to need an outside perimeter receiver to, target. They're not going to be throwing, 12 balls to Adam Troutman. I mean, I certainly don't think they will.
In full disclosure, I asked Kevin pretty much all of my starts at decisions, so I would default to what he says and don't listen to me on this one.
Oh, will you stop it?
I'm being serious. You know that. All right. So Slayton versus the Rams or MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling versus Atlanta. I know that I'm going.
It's not a decision for me. It's MVS.
Yeah, not even like Lazard's out. We'll see if Adams is back, and it's against Atlanta. His defense is terrible.
Yeah, and then you got to figure Slayton is probably going to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, MVS I think is a slam dunk there between those two. And then one more, Tyler Higbee versus the Giants, Mo Alley-Cox from Chicago, full point PPR.
Slam dunk Higbee.
Yeah, Higbee. Although, like I said, Mo Alley-Cox, I do like him against Chicago. There are certainly worse matchups, So what do you think of getting that late slate?
Good. It's perfect time to jump into the Giants Rams. So you take us in.
Yeah. So we're certainly not going to be talking about the backfield for the New York Giants. And, is there a backfield on the planet you'd rather stay away from, other than maybe the one in the same metro area as the Giants, the Jets? I mean, I don't feel good really starting anybody on a week-to-week basis except for Engram and Slayton. Daniel Jones is kind of taking a nosedive a bit. So if you've got him, he can be dropped. But this is also a pretty brutal part of the schedule too. So maybe if you've got room, certainly you can hold him. But yeah, it's a pretty ugly skill position grouping for the Giants right now that you don't have any real confidence in starting outside of Engram and maybe Slayton as a wide receiver 3 flex option.
Yeah, I completely agree. Man, I was so high on Jones going into the season, but here we are. There's no Barkley. I mean, the offense terrifies me. Even Slayton at this point. At some point, he'll have his games, but I was wrong on Ingram and I was wrong on Slayton, even if it's only through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'll take that L because I was big on Ingram going in, really coming up into the season and hoping he could. And he stayed healthy. It's just factors out of his control.
Yeah,
it's tough to see, but maybe he can salvage a little bit. And then on the other side, I mean, you're talking about the Rams, who are now they're a running team, and Darrell Henderson is running away with that job right now. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, he looks awesome, and I don't expect that to ease up at all. Cam Akers is out with his ribs. Malcolm Brown is back to being Malcolm Brown. Didn't make it to October like I had at least thought in bare minimums. But other than that, I'm starting Goff. I'm starting Kupp and Woods. And like I said, I'm starting Higbee. Higbee's a top 8 tight end. I think it's difficult to not start Higbee in almost any matchup. So unless you happen to have one of the top 3 guys. So,
yep. And Darrell Henderson, absolutely love him. He is a must start in this matchup. Yeah. And I will just tell you, he's my lock of the week, baby. 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Darrell Henderson. Let's go.
Woo! Let's do it. I love it.
They're going to run. Yeah. If we were talking about Cam Akers, by the way, will be out this week with that rib injury. It's really funny how we were just talking about how Cam Akers is just going to steal this job away. And, Sean McVay was talking about how it's going to be a four-headed backfield. But Darrell Henderson was in the house all along. So, yeah.
Henderson season.
It pretty much is. Yeah, right there. Boom. Absolutely. So, and you got Kupp and you've got Woods. You're starting them. Higbee, you're starting them as well. So it's like I said, Rams turning into a running team, but they're not gonna, go away from Woods. They're not gonna go away from Kupp. McVay is working around what he has, and they don't have a great offensive line, but they've played really well. And
it's a testament
it's a testament to his coaching. It really is.
2018 it's a soft version of 2018, but like 2019 there was some blips and they've evened some of that out, and Goff looks good, and I'm here for it as much as I hate the Rams.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah, Niners.
Yeah, for real. Let's go to Buffalo at Vegas. So we're talking about Buffalo, and Zach Moss is questionable with a toe injury, and then the other side for the Raiders, you're looking at Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs out and doubtful. I would say he's out. He really didn't practice all week, and it's probably going to be another week or two before we see him. So right now it's the Hunter Renfrow show. So you're talking about Buffalo, though. Devin Singletary looked fantastic. And now against Vegas, who are last in the league in run defense, doesn't have Zach Moss behind him to take a lot of his shine away. So he's a borderline RB1 for me.
I will agree with man. He is a high RB2. I know that's a small discrepancy, but
we're splitting hairs here.
I can't even think who's the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, the MVP, Josh Allen.
Oh, that guy, just that guy. I mean, I feel like this is his week yet again, as that is just the 2020 season so far. I don't know. I can't say that Singletary is a must start. I'm happy to start him as an RB2, but I don't know. Like it's just there's just something missing. There's something that's lackluster about starting Devin Singletary. I'm like, I know that I should, but I would much rather start like Darrell Henderson. Like, no question, not even in the same boat. And I would have Darrell Henderson as maybe like a top 12. He is a top 12 RB. Therefore, Devin Singletary is like a top 15 to 18, like in that range. So he's a solid RB2.
Yeah, I was literally about to ask you, would you rather start Darrell Henderson or Singletary?
Not even close. Like, one's a lock of the week, I just heard from like one of the best fantasy analysts I know. And then the other one's Devin Singletary, whose best running back is their quarterback.
That's yeah, you know what? That is true, but yeah,
Like
the
the
MVP
Cardinals.
was MVP for a reason, I will say that. But
Yes, definitely.
yeah, but everything else, Devin
Start your fucking Bills. Like, don't even think about it. Like, Dawson Knox is probably the only guy that I'm not sure of. I even started to say earlier Cole Beasley. So yeah, Diggs and Brown are locks. Allen's a lock. You're starting Singletary if you have him because of the situation. So if you have to debate on Dawson Knox, I'm sorry about your tight end situation. And Cole Beasley, PPR league, throw a dart if you need to.
Yeah, why start Dawson Knox when you have Big Bob Tonyan? We'll get to him at the end here, but that's right. So for Vegas, I mean, Josh Jacobs after that first week, I mean, he's kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but
Yeah.
The Bills we talked about last week, they can be run on. We saw Darrell Henderson do it, so. If anybody can do it, it's Josh Jacobs, and this is as good a spot as any, at least to get back into good graces. He's seeing, we were talking about all off season. Is Josh Jacobs going to get the passing work? And he's seen no less than 3 targets each game. He's got 13 passing game targets. That's really not bad. That extrapolates out to what, 50 something for the season. I mean, you can't really beat that. Plus his rushing, 93, 88, and 71. He had the 3 touchdowns, hasn't had one since, but I mean, Josh Jacobs is a good spot here to at least recoup some of that value that he had in week 1.
Agreed. Definitely. And Josh Jacobs is awesome running back. Don't be fooled by what's happened. Like he went up against the Patriots and he went up against the Panthers, but like, as we've seen, the Panthers are confusing. I think their teams look forward to the next team and then end up having a weird game. So it's coming. I'm excited for it. I may have just referenced week 1 when I said the Panthers, but oh well, it's late. It's Friday. I don't care.
Exactly.
The Bills are just one of the most, I hate saying it, the Seahawks are probably the most fun team to watch right now. Maybe the Cowboys. God, this is terrible to say both of those things. But the Bills also they look like a team that is going to make a deep run. They're just fun to watch. And so do the Raiders. Like the Raiders are weird, fun to watch. Like they went up against the Patriots. They were banged up. So fair enough. I want to see if Gruden can bounce back here.
Yeah, like the Buffalo is running on all cylinders. They're like a Ferrari, and the Vegas Raiders are like car crash TV where, a lot of just weird shit happens, but you can't stop watching.
Yes, 100%. It's Vegas.
It really, if any team is going to take the identity of a city, I mean, right now it's Vegas.
Definitely.
So Darren Waller, I mean, I don't think we'd really have to say anything. You're starting him.
Yeah.
You're going to start Renfro as well. There's really isn't anybody that, else that you could start with any confidence or, any relevancy there. So
I think we both agree on Renfro, though. I actually am thinking that Renfro is going to be in my DFS lineup. I don't even get to say lineups anymore because I do 1 a week, but I don't even know idea how much it costs. I just like it. I like Renfro this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty cheap. I think when I looked at it, I think he was at like 4,000 on DraftKings. He was very cheap. So, yeah, certainly. The one thing he might be, being that cheap wide receiver, he could be pretty highly owned. So if you're doing a lot, GPP stuff like that, that might be something to think about too. Yeah. Brandon Cooks is out there too at 4,500. I've been pouring through these DraftKings stuff more and more here. So as I'm on my way to becoming a mediocre DFS player, I've started to
just
check that out.
On, buddy.
What's that?
One day you'll get there. You'll get to be mediocre. I believe.
I'm building that bankroll. I'm at like 50 something bucks right now. So. You know what? I'm 5 times where I was at in week 1. Damn it!
You're doing better than me. I can never win DFS. All right, next game: New England and Kansas City. This is gonna be a fun game. This is the real life NFL game I'm looking forward to this week.
Yep, absolutely. And I did not update this, but James White is back, and he should play and take what Rex Burkhead was doing. It's pretty much it's back to James White. So Rex Burkhead is down a couple pegs here, but you're going to start obviously Cam Newton. You're going to start Julian Edelman. N'Keal Harry is an okay flex play. Not super enthused about it, but there are worse options there. Other than that, I mean, I guess you could start Sony Michel too if you're in a pinch. I'd rather start a lot more guys, but if he runs into a touchdown, that I guess that's not terrible. And then on the Kansas City side, I mean, you're starting everybody: Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes, CH. I mean, I don't know if you're starting Hardman, but I mean, this game is pretty much it sells itself. There really isn't a lot of questions about it. It's just I can't wait to see Cam Newton get unleashed and how Kansas City reacts to him.
I think that Kansas City is going to destroy the Patriots.
I just don't think they can score enough to keep up.
The Patriots, yeah, that's what I think. I think that right now, I mean, there's clearly one team that is above the rest of the NFL, and that's the Chiefs. Mahomes is playing at a level I don't know if I've seen a quarterback play, and that's his legs, it's his passes, it's he got 260 and 3 against what we thought was the best defense in the NFL right now.
Yeah, that's true.
In the first half, he did that.
I haven't seen a guy play like that since some guy named Patrick Mahomes in 2018.
Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, and that's another thing too. When you talk about Cam Newton, he really hasn't shown anything in the passing game to really bank on. It's really been a lot of his rushing and keeping defenses honest in that aspect. So that's what I want to see. I want to see if he can throw a little bit, because he really hasn't gotten the opportunity because he's done so much on the ground. I mean, yeah, he had that game against Seattle, but
yeah,
I want to see it against the Chiefs, and it's going to be a fun game.
Yes, I completely agree. I think this season right now, only 3 weeks in, is the prime example why defense matters when it comes to picking your quarterback. Mahomes, I said all along that he was the one quarterback I was willing to buy up on because I felt like he was going to scorched earth the NFL. And he has not, because his defense is good enough that he doesn't have to. Whereas you look at Russell Wilson and the terrible, terrible defense that they have in Seattle, and he looks like he is trying to go scorched earth.
Right.
Like if you swap these guys, like Mahomes would have 10 touchdowns a game.
Yeah,
obviously, I mean, hyperbole.
No, I hear you, but yeah, it's Mahomes is fantastic. I
have a real question though.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose those fake ones.
Yeah, exactly. Stephon Gilmore should probably be on Hill. Obviously, Kelsey is Kelsey, but the Patriots have a good defense. Like they do.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins. I really want to start him.
I don't mind it. I think you should. Yeah, I think he's worth a shot. I mean, yeah, you got to figure they're not going to take CEH away. I think this is going to be a CEH game.
Yeah,
certainly. I think out of the backfield, I think he might outproduce his rushing with his receiving this game. And I think they're going to take somebody away, and I think that's somebody that is going to be Tyreek Hill. But all it takes is one. That's the great thing about Tyreek Hill is, in any matchup with just the speed that he has, all it takes is one. 1 for 75 and a touchdown. Boom, there you go. Your week is made. Anything else is just gravy on top. But
Hill against the Patriots, it was like streaming down the side, and he just starts to cross, and he gets like a 75-yard touchdown. That was, I guess, 2 years ago. To me, it was like one of the most iconic Tyreek Hill plays for me. So
I think I was in
Patriots.
Yeah, I was in Green Bay, I think, when I was watching that game. I think that was the week that that was the Packers 49ers Monday Night Football game. I was in Green Bay watching that game because that was on Sunday night, I believe.
Nick Mullins almost beat you.
Yeah, well, speaking of the 49ers, Sunday Night Football, Philly at San Francisco. I don't trust Carson Wentz very much. As far as I can throw him, and that ain't far. because I have no upper body strength. But Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz, start them. Go ahead.
Yep.
Anybody else? I mean, you're looking at like Greg Ward is the only guy who practiced yesterday out of their wide receivers. So right now you're looking at what Deontay Burnett, John Hightower, Quez Watkins as their wide receivers because they're not going to have Deshaun Jackson. He is out. Obviously, we talked about Dallas Goedert. He's going to be out for a while. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles offense, I mean, outside of Miles Sanders, are you even feeling good about Zach Ertz? I mean, yeah, we saw it last year when it was pretty much him and the rest of those guys, but I mean, even Zach Ertz hasn't looked great at times either. Yeah,
I think you got to start him, just see what happens. I think that the Niners have some really good middle linebackers and whatnot that'll be able to contain Ertz, but Ertz is in pretty close to uncontainable tight end. He'll figure out when he needs to. Wentz just has to figure it out. Like I was listening to like the no, it wasn't the NFL, the Athletic NFL show or football show, whatever the hell it's called, with Robert Mays, and they were just saying how like it's like Carson Wentz has the yips, and like how the hell do you fix that? It's just the weirdest thing. Like he is an awesome quarterback. He has lucked into a little bit of production, but he looks terrible other than like the random touchdowns he comes across.
Yeah, if he doesn't watch out, he's going to have Jalen Hurts on his ass too.
But you can't do that. You just paid the dude like what, 125 million?
I mean, if you're going to get this kind of production, I mean, maybe you're not outright just pulling him, but I mean, Jalen Hurts could, because they were talking about getting him in on packages and stuff like that. I mean, he has not looked right since he got hurt in that Rams game when he was pretty much the MVP of the season.
Totally.
He looked great. He's the difference between now and last year is last year he was building up everybody else around him. He was elevating Greg Ward. He was elevating Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. He's not doing that this year, and now he's pretty much got equal to, well, actually probably less than now because he has Ertz and Ward, and then a bunch of rookies or practice squad guys. So this is really put up or shut up time, or else we could see a little bit more of Jalen Hurts. I mean, this might be a lost season for the Eagles right now.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, and that if I don't know how you ever think of this as an GM or whatnot, but at what point do you say, our defense, our offensive line, like we could really use a high round pick? They're playing the Niners, then they play the Ravens, then they play the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like finally they get a reprieve against the Giants. Like, oh, sorry, it's the Niners, Steelers, Ravens, Giants, Cowboys. God damn. We may be
seeing murder throw
against the Giants, man.
Good Lord. I mean, rough is being conservative about that, but yeah. So let's get into happier news here for San Francisco. We might be getting some guys back here, and I know as the resident 49ers fan, I know you're pretty much ecstatic about this. So I'll let you wax poetic here.
So I've always said this, that come week 5, that we should be pretty close to being full strength again. Sans the defense. But so we're getting Kittle back. Woo-woo! So Kittle's coming back. Mostert's still out, and so is Jimmy Garoppolo. But Nick Mullins has looked pretty good in his starts. But having Debo back, sorry, I said Kittle, and then having Debo back also, Debo can't be started. That's fine. Kittle should be started. But man, Brandon Ayuk came on last week. He had, a solid connection with Nick Mullins, who knows how to at least make the throws that Kyle Shanahan's asking for him, and he has a great offensive mind. And so just having Debo on the field, I've been saying this all along with all my buddies, we're all Niners fans, like it changes what you can do. It changes the plays you can run, the end arounds. It changes just the complexion that you can do. And then Niners can get back to doing what they like to do, which is mess with you at the line of scrimmage and do a lot of short dump offs and let your players make plays. So I'm hoping come week 5 at latest week 6. But since we're talking about week 4, I'm starting Jeff Wilson. I do like McKinnon, but I like Jeff Wilson more. I think he's the more prototypical runner, but has pass catching chops. McKinnon is less between the tackles, but is a great pass catcher.
Yep.
My sleeper from this game that I think a lot of people will say was a blip because they played the Jets last week. I think Brandon Ayuk looks like he's going to be the real deal because he's going to be the Niners version of that. And he is not ever going to be, just like Debo is not going to be the prototypical Terry McLaurin type. But both of these guys, they're going to start putting up fantasy numbers.
Yeah, Ayuk I really like. They were using him really creatively, and I think that's going to be their MO to kind of move him around and, use him as a chess piece and keep everything off balance for the opposing defense. So, I think Ayuk is. I think he's here to stay. He's going to need to be a bigger part of that offense. He certainly showed it last week. Getting Kittle back is certainly going to help take a lot of pressure off. We'll see with Debo if they keep him on a snap count, which that sounds like what they're going to do. Kind of work him in and get him back into game speed. But yeah, it's funny because I was looking at one of my lineups where I was trying to figure out what I have at running back. I have Jeff Wilson and McKinnon, and I'm starting them both.
It makes sense. Kittle, again, there was a reason he was voted like one of the best players in the NFL, graded out that way. And it's because of his pass blocking or his blocking abilities, specifically in the run game, also the pass game, but really the run game. And he opens up lanes. So I totally sound like a homer, but I think everybody in the NFL loves George Kittle. So people have heard this time and time again. He makes their run game really work, even more so than the running back.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens there, but that could be a steamroller right there. With San Francisco at home against Philadelphia. We'll see what happens and if Carson Wentz can bounce back here. And then Monday Night Football, the game of the week.
Yes,
that could be a shootout too, but we'll see.
It should be.
Yeah, it certainly should be. Atlanta at Green Bay. So let's start with Atlanta first. All their wide receivers have been varying degrees of being either limited or getting to practice in full. Calvin Ridley popped up on the injury report with an ankle. Obviously the final report isn't out, I believe, until Saturday for Monday night, but he got in a limited practice today. Russell Gage with his concussion. I don't believe he has been cleared, but he did log a full practice. So I didn't see anything unless I missed that about if he was cleared or not.
Sorry, you said Julio?
Or
you said Gage?
Yeah.
I don't think at this point that he is cleared.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that he's not playing because it's a Monday game. Usually, for fantasy purposes, you have to pivot and just assume he's not playing because it's Monday. I don't know what else you would do besides.
Right. Yeah, and then Julio, same thing. I would say have a contingency plan too, with all those guys. I know they're big, obviously big options. So certainly have something available. You're looking to maybe the direct backup to Russell Gage would be Brandon Powell in the slot. That could be a guy that you could pick up. And, if Gage is out, then you could always just slot Powell in. He was involved last week when Russell Gage left the game. And then Olamide Zaccheaus was the direct backup to Julio Jones. Yeah, I mean, you don't have super high expectations, but they're guys that are going to be involved in a passing offense that if it's going to be up and down, they're guys that, could certainly surprise for you. And then Ridley should be good to go, but obviously we'll see what happens with his ankle. Other than that, though, Todd Gurley had a solid game, but Brian Hill looked way more explosive. So he's probably in line to get a little bit more work in from Gurley. That's something I'm monitoring, having Gurley in a few places here. So, Brian Hill is not the worst stash on the back end to see, what's going to happen with that run game. Because, I mean, say what you want about Todd Gurley. We talked about it all off season. He just, I don't think they're not going to use him in the passing game. They really haven't used Gurley in the passing game like we thought they would. But he doesn't look like the Todd Gurley we were used to. And everybody has made every single mention about his injury and his lasting arthritis. But he looked way more explosive last year, even compared to this year now. So it's something concerning to look at when you talk about the Atlanta running game.
I completely agree. I'm going to do everything I can to put Gurley outside my starting lineup. The Packers have, despite what Kamara made them look like, a solid pass rush defense. And so I'm going to fade Gurley if I can. I like how you put it. He's more of a flex. I think it's hard to probably find a fourth RB that you would start ahead of Gurley, but definitely just tempering expectations. The Brian Hill Ito thing, like, I'm sure I'm just very jaded from last year, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I can trust too much in Brian Hill. Like, he had a 30-yard touchdown reception, but I don't know. Outside of that, I didn't watch the game, so I've only seen what I've seen since, and I feel like it's still just going to be a muddied backfield. And moving forward, it would take a Gurley actual injury to have Brian Hill even potentially become relevant, and even we would all still be concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely get that. I did watch that game against the Bears, and Gurley was really just, he was getting what he got blocked, and that was he wasn't doing anything extra. He was just getting to the line, getting in the gap, and then that was pretty much it. He wasn't making moves the outside. It wasn't cutting off it. It's tough to see because this is a guy, 3 years ago, who was the number one overall, fantasy player. If you had him in Dynasty, you were looking, for titles upon titles, and now Todd Gurley's just a shell of himself.
Fantasy is a fickle mistress.
It's a cruel mistress, absolutely. But then we got Green Bay. We'll see what happens with Devontae Adams, but he wanted to come back into the game last week, was held out, so they're going to defer to him whether he plays or not on Monday Night Football. Allen Lazard is out with a core muscle injury for at least a month. So that's a big blow to that wide receiver core as well. So if both can't go, we're looking at Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We're also looking at North Dakota State's own Darius Shepard, possibly in the slot. We're looking at Malik Taylor but Robert Tonyan could certainly get a lot more run. Big Bob. We were getting back to that, but the way Rodgers is playing, though, I mean, you probably got to discount him a little bit, with those passing game options that are pretty much whittled down. But, geez, I really hope they have Adams back at the very least, because that's going to take a lot of pressure off guys who aren't used to being in those roles.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Even MVS, if Adams isn't back as the number one, it's so nerve-wracking.
It's scary. It's absolutely scary.
It really just screams to me. The Aaron Jones apology tour continues. Aaron Jones is going to destroy this week. Kamara is RB1, but I'm guessing probably RB2 is going to be Aaron Jones, even like over Zeke. I mean, the defense is just so bad.
Aaron Jones is probably a captain on showdown slates in like 75 to 80%. He has to be almost. So, I mean, Aaron Jones is going to absolutely smash. He's going to have to for that team to have any chance, especially if Adams is out. I mean, that is just, it's a lot to come back from. And we know, and Aaron Rodgers has been fantastic for the first 3 games of the season. So, he did that without Adams, but he also had Lazard. And now if Lazard is out, I mean, he's out for a month. You're looking at MVS. You're looking at a bunch of unproven guys. So, I mean, all hands on deck right now in Green Bay, but that could be just, if Atlanta is without their guys too, geez, we could be looking at a Sun Belt game here with Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers throwing to him.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. So,
Whew.
yeah, we got through that slate. Anything else you want to add?
No, it'll be interesting to see the fallout of how all this stuff happens with the Titans. We didn't even talk about the Titans COVID situation, but we can't predict the future and just know. So if anybody didn't see, Adam Humphries tested positive just today, and another guy that I can't remember his name because I don't know who he is. And if more Titans players test positive later this week or weekend, like, you're potentially looking at now a Bills-Titans game that's going to get messed around. So if you're not having these conversations with your league, which I guarantee every league is having, you need to have them because, yes, this got moved to a bye. Yep. That's not happening again. From here on, if it's the Titans, we officially are into that uncharted territory where we don't know. We've never had to deal with this before. So this week is a little bit more simple, but after that, it changes.
Yeah, we dealt with it for 1 week. It only took one. It only took one team to just throw the entire league into flux here. So I know they're moving around. I believe they moved one of the Ravens Steelers games up a week, I believe, to kind of compensate for that, for their original bye, and kind of shuffling things around. Yeah, if the Titans have to, if whatever happens that Bills game, obviously we'll certainly see what happens with that going into the beginning of next week. But geez, they might have to start rolling out practice squad guys just to be able to feel the team. And that's going to be just like you said, it's uncharted. It's never been seen. It's never been done. So we're all going to be in this together, seeing how they combat this.
Totally. It's going to be wild, but hey, I hope everybody does well and has a good week and they stay safe and everything. Cause obviously COVID has just reared its head and is in everybody's ears right now and everybody's eyes. So,
Yep, exactly. So, make sure you guys tune in on Sunday morning too, 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern, for Fighting Chance kickoff. It'll be myself and Gary going through injuries, going through, the weather, answering your start-sit questions. So make sure you all tune in. You can find me at KTompkinsI on Twitter, at Gary Hadow1 on Twitter. We'll be streaming from both spots as well as on Fighting Chance Fantasy at FC Fantasy Sports. So, like I said, make sure you guys are tuning into that. And like I said, if you have any questions, up until kickoff of the early games, send them on over. We'll be sure to answer them. We'll be answering all of them, live on stream. So make sure you guys hit us up there.
Hell yeah. Completely agree.
All righty. So, Gary, I will see you on Sunday, my friend.
I'm excited and good luck with your computer, buddy.
Yeah, that's been a source of contention here, but we should be good. Fingers crossed on that. So, we will see you guys on Sunday. Other than that, have a great night.